That's something that would be perfect to describe the UK's E Squadron, or the Increment, as they are referred to.
Hey troops, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan, I'm a former Royal Marine from the United Kingdom. Today we're going to be reacting to something a little more closer to home, the UK's most secretive Black Ops unit, E Squadron. So it's regarding Special Forces, in particular SAS. I don't know an awful lot about the SAS. I know obviously all of the usual stuff that we knew at unit, being a commando. You know, we have the opportunity to work in Special Forces support group in support of Special Forces, but in terms of like actual real hard knowledge, I haven't really got that much, okay? I've got my own experiences. When I left the military, I went into the reserves, 2-3 SAS. I was going through the process, and I actually had to come out because my wife was due to give birth on test week. So that's something you've never heard of before on the channel, guys. So when I talk about SF, it's something that I've got a little bit of knowledge on, okay, but not massive amounts at all. But this video is going to be pretty good, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment below.
It is a secret unit within the SAS, which themselves only conduct highly covert clandestine operations and could be considered somewhat secret already. Apparently, there is a unit within the 22nd SAS that has even more dangerous and covert missions assigned to them. The SAS also has the 21st and 23rd SAS, but
that's what they don't really call them 21st and 23rd. It's 2-1 SAS artists and 2-3 SAS. So those are the reserved components of the SAS, okay? Training's still pretty difficult, although it's a little bit easier for the SAS reserves than it is the SBS reserves. You still have to meet all the same times and stuff for the SBS, Special Boat Service reserves, whereas 2-3 SAS, the times are different, they're slower, okay? And you don't have to do a jungle phase at the end of it, which arguably is where, you know, I've been to the jungle myself. That's definitely where you find the men from the boys, okay? So it's a bit easier in that regard. I'm not going to say it's not. It's definitely easier than going regular, but still bloody hard, okay?
But these are the SAS Reserve, primarily staffed by civilian volunteers. Let's have a look at the organization of the 22nd SAS, and later on, dive into the E Squadron. The organization. So, the SAS, the Special Air Service, is the UK's finest. By now, most of us who are interested in anything regarding Special Forces have heard of the SAS, and they are one of the best. They are regarded as one of the toughest, successful, and feared SF units in the world, even by other SF units like Delta Force and DevGru.
Okay, so what I would like to mention is they're the most known Special Forces group. There's not much in it between SAS, SBS, other than the terminology and the names, okay? Although what I would like to say is primarily if you're a commando, a Royal Marine, you're normally going to go into the SBS. If you come from the Parachute Regiment, you're probably going to go into the SAS. It just makes sense. Although you do get, you know, counterparts going to different parts of the military. So I know there's quite a few paras in the SBS now, okay? I want to try out something different. But it's certainly not, it's not a thing that you would compete who says better at that level. Yes, at my level when I was in the Marines, we compete a lot with the paras and stuff, you know. We work well together, but at the same time we're competing because we can, all right? There's that element of who's better, because in truth no one really knows who's better at the end of the day. We've both got famous history and accolades, but when it comes to the SF units, SAS and SBS, from a government perspective, they're both bloody fantastic, all right? And the standards is right up there, so there's nothing in it as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion.
The SAS has around 400 to 600 operators, which is assumed a rough estimate, as we'll never know for sure. The regiment has 4 squadrons, A, B, D, and G squadrons. Each squadron is divided into 4 troops and a smaller headquarters section. Troops usually consist of 16 operators within these troops. They are divided into smaller units of 4 members. These smaller units are called patrols, and each SAS trooper always has a primary specialization within those patrols, namely signals, demolition, medic, or linguistics specialist, and forward air controller is also a specialization. The squadron's 4 troops all have each of the following focus areas. Boat troop. Specialists in maritime operations like diving, boarding ships, and everything that consists of a water element.
So there you go. I mean, they've just been talking there about what they can and can't do. There's not much they can't do, if I'm honest with you guys. Boat troop. Why would they have a boat troop if you got the SBS? It just goes to show, guys, they'll probably, and I don't know this for sure, they'll probably do a lot of cross-training together, teaching each other how to do certain things, okay? The SES probably do certain things better than the SBS, so they'll do cross-training with that regard, okay? But when it comes to maritime counter-terrorism, our guys, the commandos, is probably better at that, so it would make sense for them to do some cross-training together. I mean, it's not uncommon for military groups to do that. If you think about some of the courses that we go on, all right, guarantee some of the courses that these guys go on, they'll go to other militaries to conduct that course, other militaries who do that better. So if you want to look at, scout ranges and stuff like that, they'll probably go to somewhere in Europe. The Germans, the Swiss, they do loads of things with mountain warfare and stuff like that. They're probably better at it than us, so it would make sense to go and do their training, and that's what happens, okay, within the realms of NATO anyway.
They often train with the Specialized Boat Service, the SBS.
It's not the Specialized Boat Service. It's definitely not called that. Special Boat Service, all right? Not specialized. It's the little things that would gripe on me. It's SBS. These guys, in my opinion, are the best. I really like the SBS.
Which is the counterpart of the SAS.
Not a counterpart, okay? It's a separate organisation. It's basically the UK's Royal Navy's Special Forces, okay, who come under the same umbrella, UKSF Group, okay? So you've got a group, UK Special Forces, you've got the SBS, you've got the SES, you've got SRR, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Water demolition, tactical maritime insertion and extraction, and covert infiltration by shallow water diving are their main objectives.
Main objectives on paper, but if I was to tell you that the SBS was more active during Afghanistan than the SAS, would you be surprised? Many people would be, but in fact, I think it was closer to the truth of what I've just said. And I don't want to put my life on that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure the SBS had more active campaigns and operations within Afghanistan than the SAS. So that was not water at all, okay? The SBS was pretty busy during that time.
Air Troop. Experts in parachute deployments and also called the Free Fall Troop. It is believed they are working in close cooperation with British Airways to covertly deploy into hostile environments. The way they do this is that cargo planes will fake an emergency and it goes off route into restricted airspace. This is, of course, a deliberate action to get the SAS operators as close as possible to their destinations.
That's interesting.
Once the operators jump out of the cargo hold, the emergency is cleared and their route can be resumed.
Wow.
Mobility Troop. The Mobility Troop is concerned with everything around the battlefield to enable the operators in the battlefield. Their main disciplines are vehicle repairs, navigation, logistics, heavy support weapons handling, and basic mobility on the battlefield. Members of this troop will get expert training in vehicle repairment, driving, navigation, and vehicle handling. Snow scooters, trucks, motorcycles, or dune buggies can be handled in all sorts of terrain and hostile environments. The SAS operators rely on the proficiency of the mobility group to get them where they need to be and get them out of there in one piece. Mountain Troop. The Mountain Troop is trained to excel in mountain warfare and thrive in arduous terrains.
In my opinion, the hardest job in the military is anything mountain related. Okay, so in the Royal Marines, we've got mountain leaders who pretty much are the instructors of the Royal Marines as well as the top tier soldiers. Okay, some would say that the mountain leader cadre is harder than SF selection anywhere, and I have no reason to doubt them. Okay, many lads that I know have done one or two of them have done both, and they said that mountain leader cadre was harder. And when you hear what these guys do over a 9, 10, 12-month period for the course, it's bloody brutal. It's hard, and it needs to be. It's one of the most unforgiving environments on the planet, working in the mountains, okay? If you think about the nature of our role as a commando, and not just commandos, other elements of the British military, most of what we do is done via the coast, and if you look at the coastlines around the world, most of them are surrounded by hills and mountains. So, yeah, if you want to infiltrate via the coast, you've got to be able to climb things, okay? That's why these guys are very, very special individuals indeed, and I really do respect them, okay? These guys used to walk about camp like gods, so that next level up, doing, the mountain troop within Special Forces, it's going to be brutal, guys.
From the mountains of Afghanistan to the ice peaks of Norway, they are trained in some of the most proficient climbing schools all across Europe. As you would expect, the work of most of the squadrons remains unknown, but we can assume they've been very active in Afghanistan in their most recent deployments. The E Squadron. So the structure of the SAS consists of 4 troops, but there is actually another covert and secretive unit that hasn't been highlighted here. This unit is referred to as the Increment, or E Squadron, within the SAS. There had been rumors for long about an MI6 Special Forces unit, which was referred to as the Increment, which is where the E Squadron gets their name from. Both the SAS and the SBS have special detachments called the Revolutionary Warfare Wing, and within these detachments...
So they see this battle here. There's a guy who's former Royal Marine and SBS operative. He's now a famous celebrity, Foxy. I'm pretty sure Foxy was on this. Now, that's not me spilling any information that's not already out there. I'm basically getting this information from the cosmos anyway. It's not like a secret in the military or anything. But apparently, allegedly, he was on this rooftop. And I don't know if it's true or not, but it's certainly, one of the guys certainly sound like him, that's for sure.
The operators are hand-picked to be a part of the E Squadron. Although not really confirmed, it is believed that the seasoned Special Reconnaissance Regiment operators can be selected to join the unit as well. From the perspective of MI6, these operators all have a specific skill set, which is of interest for this type of work. To qualify for the E Squadron, operators must have served at least 5 years in one of the aforementioned units and reach the rank of sergeant. Once selected, they get the highest security vetting possible and will be onboarded to get familiarized with the unit. Their military skills will be fine-tuned, and they follow extensive training in sabotage techniques, VIP protection skills, guerrilla warfare, and advanced insertion techniques such as high-altitude parachute jumps and covert infiltration from submarines.
So these are the top of the top. They're not just in Special Forces, they're obviously, at the top of Special Forces, working for basically the Secret Service, which is as good as it gets as far as I'm concerned. I don't know anyone who's in that part of the military, so I can't really comment on it.
A good thing to be aware about is that from this point on, nothing of their existence should be related to their covert employer, and everything they do shouldn't raise any suspicion. They'll live under their alias name from then on. As part of their onboarding, they follow what is known as the Ionic. The Ionic stands for Intelligence Officers New Entry Course and is directly tied to their work done for the Special Intelligence Service. Of course, it is possible with today's knowledge to completely sketch out their tactics, techniques, and procedures. But the Increment has been confirmed on multiple occasions, and it is always described as a unit that consists of the absolute best personnel the UK Special Forces have to offer, conducting deep cover deployments in the most hazardous environments, in which capture would most certainly mean to be executed. We can safely assume that based on the requirements and the level of sophistication of this unit, they don't have big numbers in terms of personnel. It is also likely that they work together with the 18 Signals Regiment and the Joint Special Forces Aviation Wing in close cooperation, as well as with the UKN, a secretive signals intelligence unit, which is presumably the eyes and ears of the E Squadron.
Wow.
The SIS is the UK's Foreign Intelligence Service, or better known as MI6. E Squadron carries out missions based on their intel. The SIS officers are active around the world in the most hostile environments, carrying out covert and clandestine missions which would require Special Forces escorts.
Wow.
There is no public knowledge of any offensive use of the E Squadron. However, their most recent known missions were conducted in Libya, as there were accounts of E Squadron operators landing in the country and being captured not long after. After a political and diplomatic outcry, the operators were released. It was a very bad start for what was believed to be the downbringing of the Gaddafi regime, let alone the public attention it gained.
So with regards to that, I remember this all kicking off when I was in Albania. It was my first unit I went to, 40 Commando. We were in Albania, in the Albanian mountains, and we got we were on a thing called Operation Cougar, and we then got stood to on the mountainside saying we're going to go into Libya, and that was about as much information as we got. So we got told to pack our kit and get ready and call home, basically. In fact, no, we weren't allowed to call home due to the nature of what we were potentially going to get involved with. So I think this is the same time as when that was all kicking off. But obviously we didn't get utilised, and other guys did, and it looks like it was a lot higher than what we were involved with. There was a lot of E Squadron guys and the SES and the SBS were involved in that anyways. So yeah, it's interesting when you piece the picture together all these years later. I didn't even know much about E Squadron when I was serving, if I'm honest.
Eventually, according to the reports, another report stated that they were going to be inserted into the Sahara in 2009, where a British citizen was taken hostage by Al-Qaeda. At the time, the mission was not given the go-ahead, and the citizen was killed. As you can imagine, this is all based on assumptions, since even MI6 and the SAS, which are held in secrecy themselves, do not give a clear view of the unit for obvious reasons. One thing is for sure, being in the E Squadron means you are the absolute best of the best the UK has to offer, while conducting highly secretive and covert missions within the highest confidentiality levels. Information or missions directly linked to this unit will have immediate political and diplomatic repercussions.
So, most secretive Black Ops unit, the E Squadron. I'll be honest, I don't know much about E Squadron. I know quite a little bit about Special Forces and stuff, although I haven't directly, served as a Special Forces operator. As I previously mentioned, I did try out for 2-3 when I was a civilian, and that didn't work out for reasons that I'm happy about, guys. So my knowledge is based on a little bit of experience, but more so experience as a Royal Marine, and just stuff that you pick up along the way. But this video was really informative, actually, in terms of the information given. So that's a thumbs up from me. Original video link will be in the description, guys. Got any questions you want to ask me, please drop it below. I'll see you in the next one.